Hello everybody, my name is RagingRaptor and we have some more small information. 3 to be precise, and then we'll have a tank preview. The first of which being, well, the VK168.01 Mauerbrecher is coming to the game very soon, and it will most likely be our 24th tank, or 24th of December door tank. And first of all, I called it. I also called something about the T92 being part of being the 24th day tank. I got trolled by Wargaming, but I also said that the Mauerbrecher will most likely come into Adventscalender, and I was right there. Yoo-hoo! That's good for me. And it will be around 41 euros, which is around $45 to $48. So more or less a decent priced premium, I would say, but yeah. Afterwards, we are going straight into the tank's stats and have a look and maybe even compare it with the VKOP. And two more little informations. The M6A2E1 will be sold again. Which one is this tank? This is the Mutant tank. And so you know which tank I'm talking about, let's have a quick look at tanks.gg. Just gonna this one, the Mutant. This super big, super high Grandry Donkery. And I am already working on getting a nice little quick review of this tank. I got the replays and I just need to babble around it. So we will see. And lastly, the Rudy will come, and I already said, guys, when you go for a T44-100, don't wait till the Rudy comes, and here we have it. It will also come very soon. And I'm also working on a quick review there, but I'm leaving you the old one right in the comment section below. Why exactly? Because for some apparent reason, I was able to do 4,700 damage in a tier 8 game in that game. Not kidding, it was a 4,700 damage game. But now, let's have a look at the VK168.01 Mauerbrecher. And what I also want to do is compare it to like the biggest contestant, which is also a heavy tank and is called VKOP. Not this one, it is this one. Let's go, can we go, never mind, I'm a little bit goofed up. Ah, there we go, excuse me that. I'm using tanks.gg often, but sometimes it doesn't work how I want it to work. So first of all, let's have a look at the gun stats. And as you can see, the Mauerbrecher has the exactly same damage per minute as our contestant, the VK10001P. Same goes with alpha damage, penetration, obviously reload same, rate of fire and aim time, plus the accuracy stays the same. Also something which is not changing is that it has, well, as you can see, the same soft stats for the gun. Moving, tank traverse and turret traverse, and those different things. Model damage stays the same, it's the same caliber 128mm gun. And yeah, with that it is one of the only 440 damage guns on a tier 8 heavy. Just the defender will be the second in line. So, what are stuff which change around? It is definitely not the top speed, which also stays the same, but it is the power, or rather the horsepower, which we will have a change in, and it's a big change. We get 400 more horsepower. But you know what? It's actually worse. The HP to ton ratio is actually worse because this tank is even heavier. And that's amazing if you think about it. This tank is 168 tons heavy, or around, and this is 48 tons more roughly than the VKP. And we will afterwards see that in the armor, this is not really being reflected, which is actually kind of sad if you think about it. But in my opinion, what is actually cool is that the effective terrain resistance actually goes slightly up, meaning it has better soft stats, even though those stats didn't change at all. And otherwise the things stay the same. Gun elevation stays the same, and gun elevation goes a little bit down by 5 degrees, but it's not big of a deal. And the gun depression stays at 8 degrees. So that you know what this is all about, the fuss is all about. This is 30 degrees, which is actually excellent. And if we go here, and go to the side, this is 25 degree, which is also really good value. And as you can see, not many things will change. But now, first of all, let's have just a look at the armor of the Mauerbrecher, and then we compare to the VKP. We can already see that most of those values are worse. And the HPs, it looks like the HPs stay the same at 1700, yeah. So this is the armor model of the Mauerbrecher, and you can see, and I already talked about this tons of times, this tank is, in my opinion, a tank which reflects good game design. And the big part of it is that a tank, if it has obvious weak spots, but with game knowledge, map knowledge and player skill, you can hide those weaknesses, then you have, in my opinion, a good tank. The Super Conqueror, the Shoku, is really strong when it's hull down, but it has an impressively huge lower plate, which is a huge weak spot of this tank, with ammo rack, with fuel tanks, I think. So yeah, but if you can hide it, it's an incredibly strong tank. So this is, in my opinion, good game design. And I already talked it tons of times. If we go now have a look at the Type 5, Type 4, Type 5 Heavy, or even the normal mouse, we will see that those tanks do not have good game design, in my personal opinion. Because this tank, look at that, this tank doesn't need to hide anything. Its cupola is an effective 260 millimeters. Because it's so big, it's 270 millimeters. There is no weak spot in the front. 260 millimeters is not a weak spot, and 275 still no. And lower plate is also not a weak spot. This is not good game design, as you can simply stay in the open and you will get screwed over. When we look at this tank, you will see that you have a 140 millimeter weak spot plus a cupola with 150 millimeters. This is, and I can't stress it enough, good game design. You have your weak spots where lower tiered opponents can penetrate you. You have the cupola, which is actually pretty weak, 150 millimeters. And now comes the turn, or this is why I think it is so much better than what we have in a 3KP, but we get to that in a second. If this tank decides to do side scraping from, let's say like this is here is a wall, and you side scrape out here, like let's make it like this. Here is a wall, and you side scrape, you angle your tank like this out, and turn your turret like this. Yes, if you play correctly, you can fully hide both of your weak spots and still be able to shoot at your enemy. While having a 230 millimeter turret armor, or when you angle correctly, 240 effectively, we can even angle a little bit more, and then we have around 260 on both sides. And a 260 frontal armor of... Ooh, is that a weak spot? Ooh, hey, I see a weak spot there. Do you see that, guys? If you... right now you are in a fully angled position. Hey, that's a mouse weak spot. For the people which are already long-time subscribers and know me for a long time, thanks first of all, and second of all, like 3 years ago the mouse had exactly the same weak spot. You could penetrate the mouse in such a certain position with a ELC. This tank has it as well. Okay, that is... But seriously, guys, those are weak spots you would not know if you do not learn the tank or look the tank into tanks.gg, for example. But I think that this is actually good, that you are able to find such weak spots in a tank if you look carefully. Anyway, I got a little bit sidetracked. If you are able to find a good position, as used to be as the same thing with the tortoise, if you were able to scrap or peek around the corner while hiding your weak spots, this tank will be strong. But if not, if it is in the open and people know where to aim, e.g. the machine nest and the cupola, then you will have a lot of trouble. And yes, that is actually pretty good. And I have to say again, the tank looks great in my opinion. I do like the old model a little bit more. I can have a short look at the old model. The Mauerbrecher is just a reskin. The history behind the Mauerbrecher is complete garbage. It's really not true at all. But yeah, this is the old model. Let's make it like that. Oops. Hello there. This is the old model and this is the new one. You can see it just got a little repaint, but it lost its machine gun here, its helmets here, the cable here. which is kind of sad. The back, apparently, yes, it looks like it's the same. It's even copy-pasted, it looks like, yeah. And this side also lost another bicycle. Rest in peace, bicycle. You will be missed. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I like this model a little bit more than this one, but oh well. Now I think it is time to compare it with a tank which has not good, or its predecessor or its contestant, the VK168.01P. And we already saw from stats wise that there are pros and cons in both vehicles, but in majority they stay the same. But you will see for sure that, put them into the same position with refreshing the side. Both tanks has great frontal armor, 180mm and 200mm. Just it looks like this, no, both vehicles have the same angle. This tank has simply better or a thicker frontal plate, and as you can see, it has no real weak spots. The lower plate is even thicker by 5mm, but this tank has this little ridge here, which is the same as with the Love, and it's a super bad trap which you can get shot at. The turret cheeks, they are the same or same the armor, but I think the VK Mauerbrecher will have a little bit bigger share of problem as they're much bigger and are worse rounded like here. And you can see the cupola is a huge problem, as the cupola is 150mm thick. But as you can see, this is almost the most you can get out of gun depression, even a little bit higher. If you go in a full-on gun depression mode, the cupola is actually not that easy to hit. But then again, this will be your game knowledge trying to find it. So let's have a look if this VKP has the same mouse weak spot as our premium VK. Well, let's try it like that. Yes, it has a weak spot, but it's definitely not as weak as here. Here we have 40mm of armor. So yeah, a point for the premium for the Tech 3 VKP. So side on, we have 130mm versus 130mm. That's okay. 240 and 160 to 200. Okay, this point definitely goes to VK. The side armor is certainly better on the VK, especially as there are bigger track links and they're much harder to penetrate, which is okay, I guess. In the end, this is a premium vehicle, this isn't. Even though this tank is still not cool to play against. Otherwise, the side of the turret, here we have a constant 160mm except for here, which is 180. And this turret has 170 to 160mm, but this is angled upwards, while here it is only slightly angled upwards. So I am intrigued to say that the point goes to, I think it's a draw. Yes, this has roughly a better effective armor, especially as you start to turn the turret, I think. But it is a much bigger silhouette. But on the other hand, the cupola is much bigger, but oh well, the cupola is not a weak spot. And when it comes to the rear, let's have a look here. 100mm against 120mm. So yes, this point once again goes to the Tech 3 equivalent, as it has even the spaced armor. And this is a big but though. And yes, we are at the butts of those tanks. This tank has the problem that everything above 120mm will be auto-penetrating this layer of armor, while here we have 100mm of thick of armor, meaning this won't be penetrated. So I'm actually intrigued to give the point to the VK, to the Mauerbrecher. As you can see, even angled, it has better angles, and well, it has an auto-pen spot behind here. Otherwise, roofs are roughly the same. It looks like this one has a little bit better armor when it comes to engine decks and so on and so on. But this will be only a small difference, depending if you are getting shot at from an issue or a 122mm gun. They can auto-pen this stuff here. And the same goes with the VK. These can here be auto-penetrated. So, in conclusion, what do I think about the Mauerbrecher? I personally think it will be a good premium tank. It won't be a fiasco like the Chrysler K. And when you watched my Q&A video, where I talked about the questions and answers they released from two developers, they said that they made a mistake with the Chrysler K. And honestly, I do think that they learned from the fiasco. This tank has its weak spots finally, and it still looks like a strong vehicle if played correctly. Because, and this is the problem, a Type 5 Heavy is simply, you don't need to play it correctly to still bounce a metric ton of, well, enemies. The same goes to the Chrysler K, because look at that. If you look frontally at the Chrysler, your cupola is 150mm thick, 160mm thick, 200, 250. You can stand like this and tier 8 vehicles have a problem penetrating you. The same goes with the VKP. You can play like this and they will have its fair share of problems. But with this tank, if you stand like this, you have your lower plate, which is not really a weak spot, but you have this and this as weak spots. So honestly, I'm looking forward to the Mauerbrecher. I will probably also curse a little bit when I get penetrated 24/7 by those weak spots, but in the end, it is a good and well-designed tank. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my rambling, brambling and comparing of those stuffs. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about the Mauerbrecher and what do you think is good game design armor related. Thanks again and have a great day, and I will talk to you in my Rudy quick review and Mutant quick review. Bye bye!